Now, let's get into my first conversation today. I am such a huge fan. Adeoluwa Akintoba, an amazing actor, voiceover artist, podcast host. Now, you've definitely seen him in a lot of your films, and you're probably just wondering, like, who's this young guy? Like, he's just everywhere, doing everything. Now, his breakout role was in Prophetess, and since then, he's featured in over 20 different films and series. He's worked with notable actors like Toyin Abraham, Toby Bakare, and he joins me on Arise 360, Adeoluwa Akintoba. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you got it correctly.
Hi.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. So let's talk about where all of this started, because it feels like we've known you for a long time, but I know this hasn't been a long time for you.
Yeah.
So when exactly did this whole Nollywood thing start for you?
Started in 2017 in one of my uncle's Christian films, but seriously in 2020. Mm-hmm. I went for the audition for Prophetess. And
there was an audition.
Yeah, there was an audition.
No, wait, before you continue, you need to tell me about that audition process, because I know auditions are not beans.
Okay, really interesting, I used to work in radio. And I'm like, what am I going to do at this audition? Because this is my first major audition. What am I going to do? So I just kept on seeing the signs of where I used to work and everything. And I'm like, I'm really just going to give them what I do on air. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And all of them were really impressed. Who is this kid? And 2 weeks later, they called my uncle and they're like, can he do this role? I was like, yeah, he can. And then he texted me, you've been chosen to play Osaze in Prophetess. And I'm like, rah! So honestly, that was it. And it's only been up since then.
No, I have to say that you know your craft, you know your art, and you enjoy what you do. Clearly,
I honestly do. As a kid, I remember when my mom would send me on errands, I would just imagine myself in different scenarios, acting on the road, and everybody would just be looking at me what's this guy doing? I'm like, I really didn't care.
But really, though, what's the industry like for you? Because the industry has been described in so many different ways. Some say it's dog eat dog. Some say it's really, really intense. It's really gritty. But for you, I know apart from Prophetess, you were also in Sister. You did MTV Sugar. Yeah. Most recently, Slum King.
Yes.
So there's and I know you just said you're currently working on two.
Yeah,
are these new projects?
These are new projects that are coming out very soon. I start one by Friday. I'm currently trying to finish one also.
You see, so you're pretty busy. So what has the industry been like for you?
It's honestly been great, because I know there's people who started before me, but things I've been able to accomplish in 2.5 years is honestly crazy. And I'm really grateful to God for that.
Now, would you say that there's a bit of a niche? Because when you think of young actors, because initially what we used to have was, so there's an older person playing a younger role.
Yeah.
So you see this uncle that's baby everywhere.
Yeah.
And they'll now tell us, okay, this guy is 20. I'm like, why are you lying to us? And this guy can never be 20. So do you think of it as like this? There's always been that vacuum within the Nollywood space where you hardly find people like yourself who can actually play a role.
There used to be those vacuums, but now everybody in my sets that I'm currently working with, the current set of this current set of young generation of actors, everybody's hungry. So if you give us that screen time, so trust that we're going to deliver. If you give us that screen time, and I'm really happy to be part of Nollywood in this time that is currently developing, because in the next couple of years, it's my generation that's going to be at the top, and I'm really sure that I'm going to be at the forefront. See, you better not forget this, because we're going to record this and keep it remembered. But I also want to know inspirations for you. When you look at the industry, who are certain people you would say, you see this person, they give me so much life? In Nigeria, I would say it's Toby, because things that
Toby Bakare?
Yeah, Toby. He and I have conversations and everything. So working with him on Slum King was I knew I had to bring my A game, because I knew that Toby was going to bring his A game. So I knew I had to bring my A game. It's Toby, Ramsey, Noah. And then for females, it would be Insei Etem. For directors, it would be Mr. Nia Kimolaya, because he always does the impossible. You always see him trying to do the impossible films, and that's the thing I'm trying to do with Nigeria. I used to say this thing, I'm going to be Nigeria's best chance of an actor winning an Oscar. And when it happens, everybody's going to be there. Now,
it's interesting you're asking me this, because I want to now know what are roles you see yourself playing. I worry, and I tell you what my worry is, that there's a very easy possibility of being typecasted into a role, especially when it's you're starting out. They're like, oh, listen, he plays this role so well, but then he plays so many other roles well if you give him the chance. So what are certain roles that you see yourself playing in the nearest future that you would like to?
So when I first started out, everybody just was like, let's use him for his facial expressions, which was prophetic. I didn't say anything. It was basically facial expressions. Then I did Tiger's Tail. I had to be angry and facial expressions. Then I did Sister. Sister brought out my range. Then I did Leaked and like Schooled. So like I've done all these young characters that have different, there's different dynamics to them. So it's honestly beautiful that people can see my range. So, and these new projects I'm currently doing also, there's completely something different to it. The new one I'm about to start, everybody has been saying they want to see me do a lover boy. So like, yeah.
Lover boy? Well, I think that should be interesting. When I look at you sometimes, I'm not trying to compare, but I think of how Hollywood is with younger talent, in the sense that, look at, say, Timothy Chalamet, for instance. You could go from just playing a regular, simple actor to doing Wonka. And Wonka, like Willy Wonka, is a pretty dazed guy. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of range. If there's one role you would say, this is my dream role, like you see this character, whether it's a madman, whether it's somebody who is an actual person, like in biopics, who would it be for you? Like the younger version, say, of someone, I don't know. Who's that one person you'd say, I want to play this guy?
It's impossible, but like...
What do you mean it's impossible?
I mean, I'm thinking like, is it possible to be a black Leonardo DiCaprio? Let's think about it, like, cause that guy becomes, and that's what I try to do anytime I'm on set. I become the character, so that when people are like, this is not Adeoluwa. Like, everybody's always asking, and which I'm really grateful for when people see my stuff. They're like, this was not you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that you people are seeing.
Leonardo DiCaprio. So we're thinking like, how young? Are we thinking Wolf of Wall Street young, Titanic young?
That's my favorite film.
Really?
Wolf of Wall Street.
What is it about Wolf of Wall Street that you like?
Every single thing he did.
But he was mad in the movie. No offense. I mean, you can't be offended. But if you remember his character, he and that's my fear. It's like, you need to completely abandon who you are. But then you have to also talk about culture. I mean, you're not that. I hate when people call people that are over 20 young. I'm like, they're not that young.
We're young.
You're not that young.
We're young. I mean, the humans, like, we actually start developing at the age of 25.
So you basically are, like, when they say, oh, you're young, you would say you are young.
I would say I'm young.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because we live our lives in 10 years, and I think I'm just in my first 10 years.
So so let me get, is this how the Gen Z thing works as well? When they say, because I had Ilebaye and she was like, how did she put it? She was trying to explain to me what a Gen Z baddie is, and it was like an age thing. So I'm like, is that how it works? Like, say, so between 25 and 35, that's your young phase.
Yeah, that's the phase that, you're discovering. No, so basically 18 to 25 is when you're trying to figure out who you are. By 25, you already have enough, like, certainty that, okay, I think I'm this type of person, and this is what I'm going to work with for the next 10 years. Because if you don't figure it out from 18 to 25, chances of you figuring it out 25 to 35 is really going to be hard, because all those decisions you made at the age of 18, you can't go back and replace them.
I really like that logic. It's now that I think about it, definitely 18 to 25 is when you actually, because you try out a lot of different things, if you're allowed to. And I wanted us to talk about culture, because we're living in a country where, I mean, I have to give it to Nigerian parents, big shout out to every parent now that things are changing. Gone are the days where they'll say, you must be a doctor, or you must be a lawyer, you must be an engineer. They're more exploratory with their children and in what they do. So in your own case, would you say that was the case for you? You have the full support?
I had the full support of my parents, because my dad was in TV, or he's still in TV, and big ups to him for that. That's where I get most of my traits from and my good looks from. But obviously I'm the better version. So, but he was honestly fooling. So I remember going to NYSC and he's like, you should join the OBS. And I'm like, oh, do I really have to join this thing? And then I went. I studied political science in school, but everybody else there studied, mass communication and all the, and, the dude saying good me out and was like, yeah, you're going to be our chief presenter just because of the way you speak and the way you carry yourself. Then I remember finishing NYSC, and then, what am I going to do my NYSC for the next 1 year? I decided to intern in radio, and for like 1.5 years I was literally doing radio, having my own sports show, that kind of thing. So I've basically been grooming myself for the superstar life.
Oh, I like that. It's important. Now I wanted to talk about what you've just mentioned. You said you studied political science. Now a couple of weeks ago I was speaking at an event, and then I had a young child. I won't call him a child, but he was at least maybe 13 or 14. And he walks up to me and goes that, listen, I heard your story. I want to play football, but my parents are like, I should stay in school and I should go to school. And I find that it is an issue with a lot of young people, even some of them watching the show, because they would say, oh, I want to be like, Ade. I want to be like Adeoluwa. I see he's acting, and he's 25. See how far he has gone. I'm sure he started when he was like 12. I don't want to go to school anymore. What do you have to say to that?
Finish school. You don't know whenever you're going to need it. Don't depend on the honorary degree because it's just honorary. Have your actual degree so that should in case it doesn't work out, you know that you can still enter into the labor market.
Okay, I love that. Now, when you look at, let's come back to Nollywood. Are there challenges you've seen, you've noticed, certain gaps that you're like, okay, these are certain things that I really hope we can do better in the nearest future, even things that you want to start, because like you said, the future of Nollywood is yourself. So in the next 10 years, the next 15 years, you will be the ones that will now be telling others, okay, this is how it was when we started. So are there things you've noticed that you definitely feel we need to work on?
Yeah, basically more attention to the younger generation, because I think it was only Far From Home came out that people realized that these young actors actually have something to bring. That's why we started seeing a lot of new faces. More attention to the younger generation and, training schools, like not just like 3 to 4 acting schools or like film schools for like people to go to films. Like we need more film schools. We need more film schools for people to actually develop their crafts and their talents. And if it's possible to start teaching film from a young age, because you never know who the next director is. You never know who the next Quentin Tarantino is. You never know where you're going to find the next Niyaki Molayan from. So like if we can start developing it from a young age, if we start developing, which I like, like of Darasimi Nadi, he started off from a young age. And anytime I see her, I'm always just amazed by her. I'm like, oh, this girl is so young and look at what she's doing. So yeah, so if, parents can just start believing in their kids and, the government also helps with governments and, private individuals see that, there's actually something in film because film is another thing in the next couple of years that's going to take Nigeria above and beyond.
Of course. The creative economy is I would say film is one of the major spaces that we will build our creative economy from. Yes. And something I say all the time. Now, before I let you go, I also want us to talk about, what are you said you had 2 new projects. Are these things that you can speak of? Or you can just give us a little bit of a sneak
Let's just say expect something street-like.
Street-like. So are we getting like a bit of Slum King mixed with...
You're getting Slum King, but like a more outgoing version of Ed Daffy. And then for the second one, expect adventure. Like it's never been done before in Nigeria.
Like Fast and Furious Adventure?
Not Fast and Furious Adventure, Uncharted Adventure.
Uncharted Adventure. You see, you do watch movies. What's your favorite movie? Like if I went on Netflix, Netflix does this thing where it's like continue watching, and there's like, a couple of movies, but then the top 5 is movies that, you're constantly binging on, that kind of thing. So what would I find on your Netflix list?
You see Friends. You see Friends because
really?
just for the laughs of it.
Okay,
just for the laughs of it. Then you see Rick and Morty because...
What
Why not?
What in the world are you telling me right now? Like you go from 0 to 100.
Yeah, you see Rick and Morty, then you'd obviously see a Tom Holland film.
Okay.
Because, I admire Tom Holland.
Really?
And then, you'd see a Leonardo DiCaprio film and you say Will Smith film.
A Will Smith film. Okay, I think I'm getting a bit of an understanding of your style. Ade, it's been fantastic having this conversation with you.
It's been amazing being here.
And congratulations. I always say this because it takes a lot of courage and grit to know what you want and not just pursue it, but pursue it with so much confidence and, work hard at it. And I see that when I see your films, I see your series. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's